Hey everybody, this is Pastor. I am stuck in major traffic on Rockville Road trying to get home. It's been a very long and productive day and I have no complaints. I'm thankful for the opportunity to be able to do the work of Jesus and to stay focused on the task at hand. You know, I was thinking about all of the things that I grew up doing, working in my dad's church when my mother and father, Ray and Carol Hilton, decided to pioneer a church from scratch. Hey David, I see you, my nephew. I see you. Hey all my friends, I see you guys. And I remember my mom and dad started this church, Whitner Avenue Pentecostal Church of God at 859 Whitner Avenue, Akron, Ohio. Can you believe I still remember the address to that? I remember I was like 13 or 14, and I would ride my bicycle all the way. It was like 5-6 blocks away from our house. It was a basement church. It was an old missionary Baptist church that they never did put the top on it. And I remember that we needed the church mowed every week. The yard needed mowed. So I would ride my bicycle and I would pull a lawnmower, a push mower with a rope. I would tie it around the seat of my bike and I would just take off and I would pull that riding mower all the way up those 5-6 blocks with a gas can bungee to it. And it would be steep, it would be uphill too. I mean, it was crazy. But I'd mow the yard, and then I'd go in. I had a key to the church. Can you believe I had a key to the church at 13? Go into the church, I'd clean, I'd organize, I'd straighten. My dad worked a full-time job. He was a bivocational pastor. You know, it makes me almost laugh when I see people who work a job, they pastor a church and work a job. It doesn't make me laugh. What makes me laugh is people who want to do full-time ministry and act like they're always tired. Oh, I'm so wore out. I got to clock out at a certain time. I'm from a generation that you just worked until the job got done. You gave it your all. You just made it happen. It wasn't even a sacrifice. It was just a joy to be able to do something for Jesus and you didn't consider the hours. It was like you blinked and the hours were gone. And you'd work well up into the night. Youth ministry, all my youth pastor friends out there, I'm telling you, you know what it's like to work on a shoestring budget. You got nothing. You're working with leftovers. You're working with last year's decorations. You're doing anything and everything you possibly can. Can't get no money. Can't get no help. You're just, pushing. But you do it because you have a joy and you have a real love for God. And I remember, mowing that yard at my dad and mom's church and cleaning and all that stuff. I never got paid to do that I recall. But I just did it because I wanted to help. All that doing, all that going, all that moving and shaking and everything. It was a joy. When I see young people today who are diehard, sold out to God, who love to be at church, who love to be involved in everything that's going, that excites me, that thrills me, because that tells me that there's still yet a generation of people who aren't in it just to make a career choice or just to make money, because there's not a lot of money in ministry for most folks. But I would say their heart is to do it. Their heart is to be about the business of God. And I served under my mom and dad. I got up underneath them. I did anything I needed to do. I did everything I needed to do. I spent long hours. And that mindset and that work ethic carried with me in ministry. I did not know it then, but God was setting me up for ministry later, and He was doing it in my heart. And I think the thing is, if you can do it when you don't get paid, then there may be an opportunity that you will do it and get paid. I don't know how that works for everybody, but I would say that the hand of God is just in it, you know, when you are diehard, all in. And I never ever said to my pastor or my leader, I can't do it, I don't have the resources. I made it happen. I mean, I cleaned if all I had was soap and water, I made that happen. I mean, we just got it done. I remember using crepe paper for decorations, hanging crepe paper from the ceiling, tape and stuff, standing on ladders that were unsafe, and, you know, using old tools and stuff that just made the job harder than easier. But we did it, and we just were so, you know, it wasn't an issue. You know, some people today, unless they've got the right tools, unless they've got the right equipment, they've got the right resources, you know, they think, I can't do it. And then you look at these larger churches, and thank God for them, they hire staff just for this. Like, they hire someone just to handle their social media. They hire someone just to do their production, someone just to do their communication, all of that. Hey, I didn't, you know who doing it? Who doing it? You know who's getting it done? Everybody. And we're all working together, because, you know, you don't get, I mean, that's just part of that line item that says other duties as assigned. You just make it happen. You work, you put in the hours. I remember when we used to do youth camps, and we used to do all-nighters, and we do all kinds of stuff. You know, we just stayed and stayed and stayed. We just worked long, long, long hours, and our daughter would be right up in there with us. She didn't know no different. You know, it amazes me, people today, like, well, I don't want to sacrifice my family. I'm thinking, sacrifice your family? I mean, I'm all for, you know, what we used to call balance. Now we say Jesus be the center. But, I mean, at the same time, you're teaching your children something that they're never going to learn in a college. And they're never going to learn it, you know, just being an average Joe Christian who just goes to church when they want. I'm a product of Ray and Carol Hilton, who are a product of their parents, who my mom and daddy, my mom was raised Old Regular Baptist, my daddy was raised Free Will Baptist, and my grandfather, Jim Hilton, would go to the church when there was snow, and he, you know, the men took turns, and they had an old stove in the middle of the church in the hills of eastern Kentucky, coal mining country. And my grandfather, Jim Hilton, would go, and he would start that stove when it was bitter cold out. And you know who he had with him? He had with him one of his kids. And they'd be there starting that stove to make sure it was warm for everybody else who was coming to the church. Even if they canceled service, somebody had to go light the fire. I'd like to preach on that. Somebody got to keep the fire lit. And that means it's going to cost you some time. It's going to cost you some hours. It's going to cost you some money. You're going to get there before anybody else. You got to make it happen. And my grandfather did that. So he passed that work ethic and that heart for God on to his children. And my daddy's a preacher today, and he instilled that into me, that I love Jesus. And I want to be about his business, and I want to serve him, and I don't ever want to use the excuse, well, I don't have the tools, the resources. You just got to make it happen. You just got to put yourself out there and say, God, I want to be used of you, and I'll do whatever you want me to do. And so many people have made that request. God, use me. I want to be used. And then you complain when you feel like you're being used. Well, guess what? You asked to be used. You asked for every bit of it. And I think the point that I'm trying to make is we've got to just be willing to lay it all down for Jesus and never complain for the opportunity that we've been given. I love you all tonight. Appreciate you. Thank God for you. Stay focused on Jesus and keep the fire lit in your heart. I love you. Bye-bye.